So I want to introduce you to something that's been kind of bugging me as an interest the last couple of years, actually. It's this. And you'd be like in the comments going, well, what the hell, Yell at the Lembine? What are you talking about? Why are you so interested in suddenly fire protection and safety equipment like that? I'll just, put the Firelight BG12 up here again. Keep that singled out against the rest of those. See that switch right there? Yes. A fucking light switch. Apparently you can use a light switch to toggle on the fire alarm system and then shut it off. How fucked up is that? Not only that it's not fucked up, but clearly there's some misconception being drawn here between light switches and fire alarm pull stations. They're the same thing, The only difference is some pull stations like the Simplex 2909 series all use all sorts of buttons instead of just a button. You use a button. It's spring loaded, which means the spring automatically resets for you. So you don't have to do anything else. It's as simple as Simplex. Well, I'll go into part 2 about the reason why I actually despise Simplex, but also love it at the same time in part Dote in this video, or Dose or 2 or whatever. So, about the pull station thing, we'll turn this back off again. Because we really have to, well actually no, I'll turn it back on because we have to look at this light switch for a second. I know this video is probably going to be primarily focused on this light switch, but you can't tell me that simply pulling a pull station should not be able to turn on that light switch right there. I mean, yes, you could take a pull station that's out of service, hook it up directly to your light switch, such as that Firelight BG12 I showed, or BG whatever the fuck they use for light switches. You can literally use that as a light switch. And I don't know where it says in any building code says you can't do that. Where does it say in any building code that you cannot use a fire alarm pull station as a light switch? Because they're the same thing. It's just a little bit more glorified in a sense. Which means it's designed to activate an entire series of honking ass horn strobes and really loud speaker strobes and all this. Another reason why I find it absolutely rhetorical and retarded and almost that they cannot actually have discovered that flaw in the industry. I mean, yes, we have a smoke detector right here. Yes, this is one of the ones that I use. This is the one that's in my room. That'll wake me up from a dead-ass sleep by honking me a really big, I think it's a 3200, 3300 hertz tone. I could forget, so I apologize for that. And there's another one in the living room here, I'll show you. Turn on this light here. So, that's the doorbell right there. This doorbell is just, I'll have to look at the video about this doorbell someday. But this is the CO/ it's a newer one actually, based off the octagonal first alert one. This is the, CO and smoke thing, which are very, very unsafe chemicals and, toxic smoke things and gases. But, I mean, couldn't they just use these as initiating devices instead of just a freaking pull station? I mean, I guess you use a pull station for, that purpose to, test stuff. Which is perfectly fine, because I have no problem with that. I would rather use the pull station for testing something. Even a guy from Johnson Control says the pull station is the easiest method to test a fire alarm system. May cause a whole bunch of ruckus and, disturbances in the neighborhood if a person at your house, such as the autistic people, and yes, I know I'm saying that to be a little bit jerkful here, but that's actually the truth. I myself have autism. Yes, this Lembine has autism. Sorry. Yes, that happens with those type of people. They go in there, they go in the freaking house, like install their own. I've even seen people install their own fire alarm panels, like the Simplex 4100 ES, for example. And they have True Alert ES devices in there, you know, the newer shit that I don't like seeing, even though I like the look of it. But they'll actually show you a couple models I've seen come out in the last couple of years. Don't show me the LED one because I'm going to flip out. Anyways, the newer, like, you know, stuff that came out, even though it's supposed to be addressable, is literally a light switch in a. It's what it is, guys. Like, I don't know what people don't get about that industry and why it's so almost flawed in a way. If it's not, though, it's got a specific purpose. The actual reason, and, you know, real reason why pole stations exist is to only be there in case if there's no smoke alarms, like on the ceiling, or, you know, something like this light switch right here would be a smoke alarm or whatever, or this thing, you know, like I assumed into before. And the one out in the living room one has the CO and smoke alarm combination. So really, it almost seems flawed, but also practical. There's two different key things you gotta understand here about that industry. Or not the industry, but the response things, the first responder thing. The pole station is only there to test the fire alarm system. And it's also there to protect people only if there's no smoke alarms. That's the only reason they exist. Now, as I've said, you could probably take those out if the building's going to be demolished someday. You could ask somebody, or you could just take it and simply wire it up to your electrical box, you know, that electrical panel downstairs. The same thing that a fire alarm panel is. It's a little electric panel for your fire alarm infrastructure. As it's a monitoring station, you know, it's going to send it to the monitoring and then your different departments. That's what this is, guys. The pole station is a little light switch. Like I've said, so the Simplex 2099 series is, of course, you know, a button-based. The Firelight BG12 is a toggle switch-based, and a lot of other pole stations by Gamewell and all the other stuff are all, you know, a lot of brands use all sorts of toggle switches, buttons. It's a huge, huge industry that is just so. I couldn't really say how much variance it is in it, but the Simplex, of course, has the latest variance. I won't get into that discussion later, but but yeah, it almost seems completely odd that a pole station could be used as a light switch, because it is actually. It's literally what it is. Like I said, the only difference is you have to pull it down in order to activate the light switch or light, you know, up there. The only difference is if you open up the pole station, that's not going to activate anything. Like the Firelight BG12, if you open that up, that's not going to activate on its own. You got to make sure that it actually, if you want to key it, I mean, you can key it with the, you know, notifier key. I actually have it right here. This is the key they take. I surprisingly actually want to show you that. By the way, these are my, I won't show you my house keys, but I'll show you two keys that I purchased. Yes. The first one is, of course, the one I just told you about, the notifier key. I won't show the number on the back because this is just a logo. I'll show the logo here. This is... Oh, God, I want to focus on this damn thing. This is a Comex National made in USA. That's just amazing. Of course, I won't reveal the number on the back because this is, of course, the standard Firelight, generic Firelight key that I got on Amazon. So, yeah, and then this other one, that tip right there looks very familiar, doesn't it? Oh, but on the back of it, what does it say? Oh my god! It says Simplex B key. Yep, that's right, guys. I actually own two keys on the same, most popular systems in the world. And yes, you can get these on Amazon. And I attached them to my house keys, because why the hell not? However, let's be some frank here. The only reason I have those keys is to establish good friendships and trustmanship and workmanship with my coworkers and my schools. Wait, what? Yeah, like what? What did you just say? That's right. These don't get used. Unless if I ask permission to key it and do fire drills. One of the biggest things that people usually misconcept about these keys and how mischievous people are today is that these keys can actually get you in trouble. Like, I'm not kidding you. Like, there's legal basis and authoritative bounds on every single building you visit. You're going to be monitored. You're going to be securely, put in place at the secure vegetables, front doors, back doors, everything. Doesn't matter where you go nowadays, guys. Because of that, the reason why it's so difficult to get into a building is because of those reasons. It is a little security flaw to carry these around. Like, it literally is. Like, I'm not saying it to be like, in my case, it's not, because, I mean, it could be, but the only reason, like I said, I have these keys is to establish good relations with my coworkers and my, friends who are actually in the field doing this stuff too, like maintenance and, actual first responders, building maintenance, custodian stuff. I used to be a janitor for 5 years, and I've had an overwhelming interest in this stuff because that's just how I am. I know I have radio scanners all across here. You can see my SDR running. That's just how it is. I mean, it almost seems stupid that, yeah, I have the firelight key right here, and then I have a B key, which is just, rhetorical. Almost not rhetorical, but it's actually almost just unnecessary, but also kind of funny, actually. So, yeah. That's the only thing I'm going to be getting if I were to collect alarms. It's just the keys. The keys, man. The keys to unprecedented goodness. Even though you should not be actually doing that whatsoever because, well, I mean, if you want to actually go in and building and do that shit, you're just going to end up getting arrested. That's all I'm going to say. Because just don't do that unless you ask them. Like, if you were a student at a school and you were really interested in that stuff and they liked you a lot, just go ahead. Ask their staff members and make sure you email them and call them ahead of time. That's usually how it works. You gotta make sure that you contact them. At least they know you first. It's something that is, whatever. Anyways, yeah, that's just my little thought and remarks on the actual almost flaw, but also practical purpose here. Your pole station is a light switch. That's what it is a light switch. The only difference is when you have a panel set up, you gotta reset it from the panel. You can only use a pole station in a light switch environment if you want to use it in that regard. You cannot use it on a panel then. I mean, you can use an electrical panel, but that's not going to actually turn off until you reset the pole station. But if you're actually on a fire alarm panel, like say if I have a little mini panel right here that's got enunciators and display shit, I have to reset it right here. That's standard practice. So yeah, that's just how it is in this industry, I guess. Hopefully you guys learned a valuable little piece of information here that I forgot to mention about this whole spiel of public safety crap. I'm not saying it's public safety crap, it's actually more like public safety information, because it needs to be brought upon for first responders. You probably understand what I'm talking about anyway. So yeah, anyways, this is the Outline Buying out.